Welcome everybody, this is Sujantra McKeever with Pilgrimage of the Heart Yoga, and today we're very excited to have as our interviewee Aubry Marie. Welcome Aubry.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice
and
to be here.
Very nice to have you. And Aubry, we discovered Aubry through Instagram, going around looking at different things going on in the world of yoga, and we discovered Aubry. She has over 200,000 Instagram followers, and so luckily she lives here in San Diego. We invited her in, and she's here with us today to share her inspiration and knowledge of yoga. So I'd like to start by asking you, where the audience has seen some pictures of you doing some of these incredible yoga postures,
Sure.
and I'm wondering what disciplines or what practices brought you to this level of yoga?
Well, so I've always been pretty bendy. You know, I remember in like third grade, second grade, like doing like a walk into like a wheel and then kind of like crunching down into a chin stand. I'm like, I just kind of thought it was like my sort of like my party trick, you know, it's like my like fun little like, oh, Aubry, and I can like, you know, bring my arms over my head. So I'd always perform these like little tricks. But at about 18, I took my first yoga class and I realized, oh, this is what I was sort of geared for. These are my people. And that flexibility, it was almost too extreme. The strength wasn't there. And recently, actually, in the last year or so, I've integrated rock climbing into my regimen. And it's been with that strength and the flexibility that was already there that I feel my practice has really grown in sort of maybe some of the images that you're referring to. Yeah,
well, there's the incredible picture of you balancing on the rock on one arm and your body's fully stretched out. And so does that, how much do you train each day or practice yoga to develop these abilities?
I play all day, every day. There, you know, my group of friends and I, that's what we do. You know, we leave a restaurant and then I think you'll see like 4 or 5 of us, like what can we mount? Like what can we handstand on? And I left that out, and that's been a huge pivotal aspect of my growth is my community of people. You know, the first person when you name that pose, Andrew Seeley comes to mind, and it's so interesting. You sit and work with this somebody who is so achieved in their practice, and they'll say, oh, okay, open here, engage here, exhale right now, and then you've got it. They
know exactly what's going on in your body.
So community has been huge as well there.
And all here in San Diego, or you've studied with different teachers?
Mostly all in LA. My group of people that really inspire me, they're all based in Venice and Santa Monica. Some of them, one of my best friends, Mackenzie, just moved up to Canada / Seattle, so I lost one of my bigger inspirations. She was actually who taught me to press to handstand, so was kind of the beginning of a lot of my inversion practice. And
so you've been you have yoga is your full-time existence.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yoga, blogging, you know, a little bit of modeling here and there, but mostly yoga. And
so here at our studio we have teacher trainings. A lot of people come in to learn to be yoga teachers and want to make it a part of their life. And what advice do you give to someone who is really passionate about yoga and wants to make it their full-time existence?
Oh, what a heavy question to, I mean, not heavy, but you have an opportunity in that moment to really give advice to help somebody change maybe the direction that they're in. And I think this goes to, you know, or rather rings true for any career. It's just love what you do so much that somebody will be willing to pay you for it. Be so passionate and do it so often. Failure is huge. Fail again and again and again until you find that success. And don't be scared to quit. You know, I was working at Apple. I was 6 years in. It was at that point, I don't know where they are now, but I think only Chevron was ahead of them as far as most profitable companies in the United States. And I had a 401k and I had stock options, and I was, you know, I had a great career there. And one day I literally woke up and I called in and I quit. Wow. And I said, I don't like the way I feel when I wake up, and this is what I have to do. So there has to be another way. You know, my parents are like, what are you doing? You've dropped out of school and now you're quitting. I dropped out of school a year prior. Like, and now you're quitting this amazing job you have. What are you doing? And I said, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm going to do what I like. And what do I like to do? I like doing yoga. And all of a sudden it became this lifestyle, and it was all the time. And then you know, actually through business, it was suggested that I go ahead and get my teacher training done. And I kind of followed that path, and yeah. To be passionate.
To be passionate, there's a beautiful quote by Joseph Campbell where he says the key thing in life is to follow your bliss. And, yeah, and then everything else will fall into place. Yeah. Now, social media and Instagram and Facebook is such a way of communicating these days. Just basic question, how did you grow 200,000 Instagram followers? How did that come to pass? How long's the journey been?
I've been using Instagram, I think, like for 3 years now. The bulk of my following, though, has happened in the last year. And so last October, I think I was sitting at about 70,000 or so, a little less. And to be really honest, and I don't know if this is more specific to me, and I don't know if this applies to all of you, this wouldn't be like my equation for how to grow your Instagram for everybody, but I had a 6-year engagement / relationship come to an end, and it kind of felt like everything fell really apart, and in that moment I found meditation regularly. Became a daily practice, and through that, I became more grounded, more grateful, happier all the time, therefore more inspired to post more authentic content. And so it was through this like sense of fulfillment on the inside, which came through meditation, that I was free to create, I think, more authentic and inspiring content. My practice has gotten stronger. So yeah.
So meditation translating into energy getting out there.
Exactly, yeah. I do believe a lot of it has to do with energy. It has to do with confidence and me transcending lessons that I needed to learn in this lifetime. Not that I have, not that I'm, but opening that door and understanding it.
And so meditation has been a big part of my life. I started meditating when I was 18 years old, and I found it's transformative, and it's a place I go to every day to re-energize. And so what is meditation to you?
It's like, when you take a big deep breath and it's really fulfilling and you get that full expansion of your lungs, that's kind of like the most physical sensation I could relate it to. But it's different every day. That's what I always like to, I don't want people to think that like once you start meditating, every time you sit down, you just, transcend your physical existence and it's all bliss. Some days it's hectic, some days it's almost impossible, but it's necessary. It's, turn your computer off and on when things aren't going right. Well, every day we need to kind of shut ourselves off and back on.
And how did you learn to meditate? So you had already been doing the asanas and the yoga practice
since I was 18, about 10 years. And I'd even begun to I was curious. I remember in teacher training, I was like, what is Nolly? What is this? And they were like, oh, we'll get to that. And we never really did. And so I didn't know. It was mostly through community and a little bit of technology that I really started to grow. But I was always curious, and I practiced every now and again. I'd sit and I would, try. And I didn't even know that maybe like breath is something I should turn to. The simplest things. Like it was always seemed so convoluted. And I came across an application on my iPhone that all my friends were raving about. And when my best friend and I, we went on a trip together and we got in a fight. And she's like, "You're being an ungrateful bitch." And that was the same week I found out that my ex-fiance was, being unfaithful, and that relationship ended. And I had like maybe $100 in my bank account, and I didn't know where I was going to live. And I was like, well, wow. I mean, I'm either going to go crazy or I'm going to find a way to let this go. And so popped my headphones in, airplane mode. It was like 10, 15, or 20. And I was like, oh, God, 10 minutes, I think, is about all the silence I can handle. And it's a guided meditation, and they sort of you have a mantra that you repeat. So it gives you a task, something to hold on to almost in that sort of middle of the hurricane, the eye of the hurricane I was in. I just had something to hold on to. And that became my routine, the one constant in my day, because I wasn't quite sure, was I going to go work across town this day? And I didn't have a car, everything. I'm telling you, it was a crazy time. And it was like 3 months of meditation, or 2 months of meditation. I got invited to go to Thailand for New Year's and had this amazing vacation. And I came back and I was like a new person in January. And I decided, wow, 2016 is going to be a year where I try and meditate every day. And man, if you could have told me where I would be, not only in my life, but in my internal space a year later, it's it's kind of the same way you could tell somebody, hey, if you go to the gym every day, you're going to be in incredible shape. Your body could look like this, but we still don't do it. We still don't go to the gym. Man, if I could bottle up all of this and give it to somebody and show them this is really the reward.
And now you have created some, what have you created to help people learn to meditate?
Well, recently Cody app approached me. And
Cody app?
Cody app, yeah, or Cody. I think everybody calls it Cody app, but it's just Cody is the name. And they work with some of the most talented instructors out there, some of my really good friends and the people that inspire me most. So needless to say, it was a huge blessing when they finally approached me. Like I was saying, you know, a year later, that's all it was. And time flies. Anyway, so I created 7 guided meditations, and they're really simple. You know, we're not reinventing the wheel there. It's just kind of like I discovered having somebody to hold your hand and just be that little bit of encouraging force in your life that, yeah, I want to go open this app and do this every morning. So anyway, there are 7 basic yet not so basic concepts associated, or rather accompanied with 5 classes or 5 asana practices that you can repeat a couple of times until your meditation becomes your regular practice and you have that desire to, like, oh, maybe I'll just leave my phone inside today and go sit out back and sit in silence by myself because I feel like I can accomplish that today.
And where can people go to get that, to get your meditation app?
Yeah, sure. If you have an iPhone and I think Android, sorry, Cody. I'm not sure, to be honest. I use an iPhone, so if you have an iPhone, you can get onto the App Store, download Cody, and then
C-O-D-Y, Cody, yep.
C-O-D-Y. Yeah, so basically download the Cody app and search for my username, Aubry Marie, and you'll find my content, the 2 series, and I believe a bundle is coming out soon.
And are thousands of people benefiting from your app? Is it getting out there in the world like your Instagram?
I've received a handful of emails and personal messages to the people that have reached out to me, and they've been quite profound.
Oh, that's great.
I had a woman who, she reached out to me. She's going through some financial troubles. And she has children who have learning disabilities, and things are kind of rough there. And she was coping with prescription pills. And she wrote me an email, and she said that when she feels like reaching for the bottle, instead she reaches for her iPhone and spends 10 minutes with me.
Oh my gosh, how beautiful.
Like, you know, if only that person was the only person to ever download it, and I was able to do that for them. Right. You know, it was worth it.
Oh, that's so nice.
But, so it's kind of ironic, it's the name of the app, or the series rather, is called From Fear to Love. Right. And
which is about your journey.
Yeah, exactly.
It's from fear, being down on the very bottom of things,
or even a lifetime of fear.
Right.
To be truthful, you know, and that's a whole other story. Maybe we'll get into it, maybe we won't. But it was years of it, and you know, I don't know if I'm sure you've heard of your return to Saturn or Saturn return, I don't know. But there's this idea that right around the age of 27, everything can kind of start to go a little crazy. That happened for me. But I've been a little too fearful to go and kind of like engage with it and read all of the comments. You know, I'm sure there's some negative and some positives strewn about. So actually probably going to bring myself to do that here in the next few days, is log on to Cody and see what the community thinks of my series.
Because it's a very sincere offering.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of vulnerability required, but that's what it's all about, right? I mean, that's literally what my series was about. So I'm gonna take my own medicine.
I love because we have free meditations here at the yoga studio. Okay. So I love offering meditations. Some people I just see them one time, never see them again. Others come regularly, but it's always so inspiring when the person comes up and tells you how deeply the ability to meditate has changed their lives. Yeah. And it really, and we probably hear one story for every 100 people. You know, other people you never see them again, but they're very touched by it.
It's kind of like the positive reviews on Yelp. Maybe they're a little less frequent, but they're out there. Like it's like the satisfied customer is like kind of often, unfortunately, the last person to come forth with their feedback.
Now, you have made your life yoga, but you travel a lot, so you don't teach at any regularly at any studios here in San Diego yet. And so what do you do to bring in money to sustain your lifestyle as a yogi, as a yogini?
Well, I've so through Instagram, I created a platform that got my practice out there, and I've been fortunate enough to use my practice, use my asana to make money. So I've been modeling a lot over the last year. Well, not a lot, but I've been in a handful of catalogs, which is really exciting to have done without any management or representation. I have a couple of friends, like my friend was Miss Belize back in the day, and now she has like management and agency, and she's just like, you are so inspired. Why am I paying this person 15% of my income? So that's been really, really exciting, and also incredibly helpful in my travels. Also with the platform of Instagram, I'm fortunate enough to travel as an influencer or as a blogger. So sometimes properties will reach out to me. I'm about to go to Jamaica soon, and actually the Jamaican Board of Tourism is bringing me out to experience their country and the best that they have to offer. So it's like, it's just, I mean, it really kind of goes back to that first question you asked, like, how do you turn what you love into something you make money off of? Well, you really, like, you only have so much energy, right? And you focus that energy, you focus it, hyper-focus it, even when other people don't understand. And they might question, like, what are your motives, or why, I think for many years people were like, oh, you're gonna go take another selfie? Like, like, no, that's not what it's about. If you could read some of the emails that I get, and the, maybe it is this like perfected image of me and it kind of seems superficial, but maybe it was that one image that got that person off their couch and into class that day.
Inspired them and motivated them. Yeah. So basically, you're telling us that if we really focus in on what we love in life, in the case of yoga, then the universe molds around and makes it possible to continue.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a little off topic, but I think our current election proves that literally anybody can be anything they want to be in the world. That's being a smartass.
Yeah, but it's true.
I mean, it's the most unthinkable candidate. You would have never thought. But no, that's what he wanted. That's what somebody wanted, and you drive it home, and you make it happen.
And now, how would you respond to people who say, like, let's take the example of the election just happened, and for some people it's probably a very unhappy moment, and they want to help change the world. Now, some people, when I was learning to meditate or do yoga, they said, Sujantra, how come you're not out doing something? How come you're not doing social work or trying to help people? And I always felt that what I was doing in my own personal growth was going to have its day of flowering. And so how do you respond to people that might see yoga or lifestyle self-centered, but, with all the stuff going on in the world?
Sure. Well, I really love, so to touch on being the change you wish to see, that was, I think, my second or third tattoo. This little snippet of computer code loosely translates to be the change you wish to see in the world. And that quote has always rung really true to me and my lifestyle. And it was like, well, if I don't like this concrete jungle rat racy situation, why partake in it? If I don't like it, you're the most powerful vote you have is just to retract, and not be a part of it.
So your own life and the expression of your life is the best thing you can offer the world.
Yeah, spreading that joy, being the light. I mean, even if it just is simple as like making eye contact with somebody and smiling at them and really like connecting, and you feel their energy shift. It's like, oh, they're present, they're connected, they're here and they're now. And maybe that helps them become the best version of themselves that they can be. You'll never be able to quantify the impact of you as an individual, and whether that's positive or negative is up to you, on a daily basis. And so if I'm, kind of, what's that quote? I think it's Lincoln, possibly, or maybe, I don't know, but anyway, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree versus its ability to swim, right? You're either going to have this like raging failure or a glorious success. And I think that by putting yourself in a position where you really thrive and being the best that you can be internally and externally, and lifting up those around you, it's like, I think also too, we kind of like, what is the point of life? We don't really, we don't know what it is. It's clearly not to go clock in 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. It can't be. I mean, there has to be people who are passionate about their given fields, right? But for me, it was not to keep working a normal job. I feel like I've been a much more powerful and positive influence in the world in doing something that could be on the surface level seen as kind of self-centered.
Right.
or shallow or a numerous of negative things. But
Well, I always say that the time you spend meditating, when you come out of your meditation, you're 10 times more present, you're 10 times more effective in life. And so that quiet time is really empowers you in what you're doing.
yeah. Even if it's one of the most talkative meditations that you've ever had, and you spend all this time kind of like reflecting on your past day. Maybe you had this like bad interaction and you spent, it's like, if you don't ever address that stuff that's there, it's still there the next day and the next day and the next day. You know, you have to kind of like work through it. And what could I have done better? What will I do next time? Where did I excel? You know, always like also too keeping it positive. In my meditations, one of them I encourage you to, just as an experiment, keep 2 journals for some time. Let one of them be what you perceive to be as extremely truthful and have everything in it. And then let your other journal be only positive things. So even if it's like, I got in a car wreck today and, you know, whatever. It's like, well, yeah, this happened, but nobody was hurt. And I'm so grateful that I'm in a place in my life where I have insurance and I can afford the deductible. And you really kind of break it down. And then like in a month, reread them. And also see, do you start to notice yourself looking for the positives in things?
So 2 journals, and one is just the positive.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. So sometimes you leave things out, or sometimes you find a way to positively spin them. But, you know, we are really like just a big computer, right? And so we can be reprogrammed. Just like people can learn to stop smoking, or quit smoking, rather, however you want to say it. I think that you can learn to have positive responses as your first go. And this might be a convenient time to kind of trail. So I used to, oh man, I used to have such a bad anger issue. Like,
Anger issue.
I'm talking kicked out of high school for fighting. Like, I've kicked out windows. I've punched things. I've punched myself. I've hit myself, you know.
Wow.
I've been so fucking angry that it just like had to come out, right? And now it's like I think about that and that Aubry, and it's just so funny. All the wasted energy, you know, when it could have just been 10 minutes of let it go, you know. Don't take yourself so seriously. And
in the one thing I've read a lot about in the spiritual philosophy is the transformation or the transmutation of our energy. Yes. So to take frustration and transform it into enthusiasm. So I'm frustrated with my situation. Well, let me transform it into the energy that'll give me power for change. Exactly. And so dealing with intense anger, what tools did you use for that transformation? Was it the yoga? Or was it before that? I was just going to say, well, let's be honest. It wasn't like I got my press to handstand and all of a sudden I just like stopped being an asshole. Like I still had problems. I had this beautiful back bend that people thought were great. You know, I had a couple thousand followers and I was still like having panic attacks because I got lost on the road. You know, all this stupid, just reactive, very fiery aspects of my person. I was out of balance, you know. And it's just so interesting to think about how petty all that was, you know. But in that moment, it's everything. You know, that's what you're going through.
That's kind of like, so if you can learn, when all is good and well, if you can sit for those 20 minutes, then you can certainly take that and allow that to sort of transcend into that bad moment. And can you keep your cool for 10 seconds? 30 seconds. I don't remember what there's some study out there where it's like, I want to say like 45 seconds. If you can contain it for a certain amount of time, you're chemically more likely to just let it go and not care quite as much.
So you were using the take a few deep breaths technique. You're trying to harness the energy, get a little objective view of it, and then utilize it.
Well, it's because it's almost like there's 2 Aubrys. One Aubry would never, you know, but when that other Aubry was in control, like, oh man, like what else can I break? And so if I can just get like that Aubry to calm down for a second, this compassionate, loving, kind, sweet, kind of like shy Aubry takes over and would never think of doing those things, you know. Or even to gain a little bit of perspective, like, why am I so worked up? Is it my ego? You know, and then you kind of like, also you get to a point where you're like, I'm too intelligent for this, you know, so you know.
Right.
But, yeah. It wasn't the asana, let's just say that. But it was the asana that got me in the door, so.
It wasn't the asana, but the yoga practice was going on while all this transformation was taking place.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I think sometimes the back bends and the handstands and all that stuff maybe like builds the ego, you know, if you don't have that balance. So 100% for me, it was the meditation that
Oh, I
started
see.
to break things down and kind of, I don't know, you know, open things up a little bit more.
Yeah, well, even the ego, even the quote ego that can arise through yoga, it's a pretty nice ego that is proud of its the body's abilities. And I mean, there's worse egos like,
Yeah.
my ego's based on I can steal or I can trick people or, you know,
I guess I'm so innocent. I would never think anybody would have an ego based on that.
yeah. So I mean, we all need the ego. So incredible, because I've read of a number of people who've become prominent yogis in the world of yoga and workshops, and interviewed some of them, and almost everyone, it's through, they've discovered, yoga's become powerful in their life because they've used it for transformation and growth, and once they experience the power of yoga, they're sharing it with others.
Yeah.
Well, Aubry, it's been very, very nice talking to you.
You too.
Very, very inspiring.
Thank you.
And we wish you all the luck.
Thank you.
No, you did a very good job. It was
Like,
excellent.
Don't fidget, stop giggling, make eye contact, all the things. Like, and then I'd be like halfway through, like thinking something, and I'd be like, "You haven't made eye contact in forever," and then I'm like.